Hello everybody, I'm TheSweetBro27 and welcome back to another Dokkan Battle video. This is part 3 to my BROLY concept series, so if you haven't seen parts 2 and 1, where we make a legendary Super Saiyan BROLY and and just a normal Super Saiyan BROLY, please go check those out. They'll be in the Dokkan the Dokkan playlist on the YouTube here. So this is part 3 with BROLY, and this is actually my second time recording this because I got everything done yesterday, and then as I went to transfer the files over to my YouTube, I don't know what happened, but everything deleted itself. So this is me doing this again, so hopefully I can say everything I need to say without mumbling a whole lot, because I have a little bit of practice with this under my belt, and I may sound a little bit different because I'm recording in a different location than from normal, so maybe it sounds better, maybe it sounds worse, I don't really know. But let's go ahead and get into this. This is Bio BROLY, LR Carnival Bio BROLY. Character name is an Uzi Abomination Bio BROLY. I made him an Int LR. His leader skill is Artificial Life Forms, 200% to stats, and this is what that category is going to look like. So you have characters like, you have all the Super Boos, you have the Gammas on there, because I wanted, so my original plan, and you'll see this when you look at the categories, and if you look at the categories, you can also kind of guess what his active skill and everything's going to be. So try not to look at the right half of the screen right now. But my original plan from this series is I wanted all of these characters to essentially fit on each other's teams. That's why I gave Super Saiyan BROLY, I gave him 3 categories and 3 30% categories. And then for the 200%, I gave him Inhuman Deeds. Because I ultimately wanted, if you pulled one, you could have him as your leader and then have all the other BROLYs. That did not happen with this BROLY, because there's only one Bio BROLY in the game, and I'm pretty sure it's free to play. And it only had 3 categories. And the only one that it would have shared with everybody else was movie bosses. And like I said in the previous episode, I can't justify giving one of these guys movie bosses outright as a 200%. I feel like that would be way too powerful of a team, and it would outright just get rid of Final Form Metal Cooler, or Final Form Cooler, which I don't think would be good for the whole process of the game. Not to mention Artificial Life Forms is a it's a decent category maybe on the super class side. Because, you would have the Gammas, who you could run with a bunch of other characters. But now you can run this guy on the extreme side, get some Super Baby 2s once we get a Dokkan Fest for him. We got Int LR Cell, Metal Cooler, all those guys would fit on this guy's team. So for his 12 key, we have the Devilish Dash, which is going to be an other, where he raises the attack for 1 turn, causes colossal damage to the enemy and a medium chance to stun. And that's what this is going to look like. The Bio BROLY movie, when I rewatched it, admittedly, it wasn't that great. A lot of the Dragon Ball movies aren't that cool, or they're all awesome, but they're not very good, I guess. But this guy, Bio BROLY, has some super awesome animations in it that are just kind of quick shots. That I'm a little upset that not a lot of people know about that. And normally when you see Bio BROLY, he just has the default eraser blaster, which he does launch quite a few. But that little combo he did right there was pretty cool. So there are a few cool animations that this guy has that I'd like to see animated in the Dokkan style, and that would be one of them. The other one, this would be the one I would really want to see, because it was super cool. It's a little 1-2 combo he does on Android 18. But his 18 key would be the Demolition Barrage, which again is another other type. Greatly raise defense for 1 turn, cause colossal damage to enemy and a medium chance to stun, and that's what this looks like. I don't know, there's just something about that I think it just looks so cool. Not to mention he has giant eye laser beams. Oh, awesome. Now going over to his passive skill. Now, as you probably remember me saying in the last video, part 2, I said I was going to make this guy the most defensive character in the game, and I think I've achieved that, and I think I've made him possibly the best character in the game, or at least the best slot 1 character in the game. So, what does his passive skill do? And that's also why, if you look at his 12 key and his 18 key, I didn't give him the greatest effects. He does colossal damage on both. He raises attack on one, defense on the other, so you're going to try to aim for that 18 key I'm trying to remember, I'm quickly skimming through his passive. He does get a lot of ki in his passive, so you should be able to launch that 18 ki fairly easily. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed, nothing's guaranteed, but he does get a lot of ki, which will make getting that 18 ki a lot easier. And I just really wanted this guy to be like the de facto slot 1 unit, because you could have this guy in slot 1, and then we can scroll over here to Paragus. Paragus, again, his passive that I gave him is there's the character who includes BROLY. BROLY would count for that, so this guy would, what did I give him? Guaranteed guard. Yeah, that's right. So that would activate that portion of that Paragus' passive, so they could be the 2 slot 1 units, and having all the other BROLYs float. So, I gave this guy an active skill, or not an active skill, excuse me, an entrance animation, which would give him 4 ki and 200% defense from the start of turn for like the rest of the battle. There's another artificial lifeform category ally attacking the same turn at the start of character's attacking turn. And that's what that animation would look like right here. And again, this may be out of pocket, but that lady professor, she's a slept-on waifu, dude. When I rewatched the movie so I could like find animations and kind of like get an idea for what I'd want to do with the character, I'd only seen it one other time when I was a kid, and I remember like not really vibing with it because like all the weird goo and whatever. But dude, she's top tier, not gonna lie. Also, this movie's like surprisingly really dark and like gruesome, because there's like a corrosive acid throughout the entire movie that like kills the population of like an entire island, and you watch people get dissolved. Like you watch a mutant dog get dissolved. Like you don't see it like bone or like it melting or anything, but you see it jump in, it struggle to get out, and then it just succumbs to death and it just gets liquefied. Like that's kind of metal for Dragon Ball. Not gonna lie. Again, there were a lot of cool things that happened in the BROLY movie. It's just the execution of all of them wasn't great, which makes me kind of upset because, I don't know, I feel like they really could have done something. And the movie also ends on a cliffhanger. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. I said I didn't want to ramble, but I'm going to ramble. The movie ends with Goku on King Kai's planet hearing that Broly is like wreaking havoc in hell and he has to go stop it after he eats food. We could have gotten a 4th Broly movie? Are you kidding? That would have been awesome. But I digress. That was a long little tirade. I wish the BROLY movie was better. Although BROLY has better animations than freaking he did in Broly's Second Coming. Again, I had to use freaking video game animations for that guy. He does jack shit in that movie. But back to his passive. So that was his entrance animation. He gets 3 ki and 150% attack and defense at the start of turn. Now, again, I want this guy to be the de facto slot 1 unit, so I gave him this interesting little effect here. Seals enemy after receiving an attack in slot 1. So, what exactly does that mean? Because there's no other character, to my knowledge, that has an effect like this. So, let's say that you're running this hypothetical Broly team and the Red Zone Broly event. And for the first event where you're fighting STR Broly on Vampa, he is able to be sealed and stunned, I believe. Maybe not stunned, maybe just sealed. If he can or can't, that's not important. And let's say he's doing 2 attacks in slot 1. The first attack he's going to do is a normal. The second attack is a super. If Broly hits Bio Broly, right there, he's sealed for the rest of the turn. So that second attack, before Bio Broly was able to attack, he's now sealed, can't do that super attack anymore. So he is like in early fights, this guy's going to be great. Because he does have to do a little bit of build up, but he doesn't have to like, in his super attacks, he's not stacking. He just has a little bit of extra build up in his passive. He's kind of reminiscent of LR Janemba. I based this guy on the Tech Janemba, LR Janemba, Vegeta and Trunks, and what's his name? This is the new banner unit for Turles. Raisin and Amon, I think are their names. Those were the characters I took inspiration from when I was developing this passive. And one thing that I thought of that a lot of the time in early stages of events, what I've noticed from like watching the Sin event on like the Truth channel and what have you, is that you can get caught early on in fights. So on turn 1, you could have this guy in slot 1, another unit in slot 2, both of which you could eat a super, but your slot 3 guy, he's got to build up before you can take that super. And you can't ever predict where super is unless you have a scouter. I mean, you can make an educated guess, of course. But, and this would, in the early stages of events, this would help your weaker units or your units who have to build up not cook you in the very start. And I think that right there makes this guy extremely versatile on top of his already incredible defensive capabilities. Now, that really would only work at, like, again, the start of events or, like, Super Battle Road stages where, like, in slot 1 characters can be stunned, because, and almost any hard difficult event, the only event I can think of where you can stun a unit for a significant amount of time is the Red Zone Cell event and the Androids Red Zone, Red Ribbon Army Red Zone. I'm pretty sure you can stun and seal him up to Perfect Cell, but not Buff Cell or Perfect Cell, whatever it is. I mean, so that's several stages where you're able to outright nullify his attacks. And having this guy in slot 1, because that guy hits pretty hard. I'm pretty sure in his AGL phase where he's Perfect Cell, I'm pretty sure he can super twice per turn, and it's like 800-something thousand per. So if you were able to throw this guy in slot 1, outright seal that for 1 rotation, that entire rotation, even if you have a weak unit in slot 3, you're fine. So I think that's probably one of the strongest abilities. He doesn't have to attack first, he just has to get hit 1 time, and then they're sealed for the rest of the turn, but he has to be in slot 1 to do that. He guards all attacks in slot 1 as well. Again, this guy, you plopping him in slot 1 every single time. He gets an additional defense plus 11 up to 66%, and 5% chance to crit up to 30 with each attack received. That's kind of where the Vegeta and Trunks part is coming in from his passive. So he just has to get hit, 6 times, and then he's fully built up, which is super easy to do when you're in slot 1. Artificial Lifeform category allies. He gives them 2 ki and 40% attack and defense. Self-excluded. So when you run him on his team, essentially it's like every unit on that team is a support unit for him, because he's going to get 4 ki and 200% defense, and then to like help out the rest of his team, he's helping them. So he's a support, and you really want to only run this guy on Artificial Lifeform, or at least with one other Artificial Lifeform, especially with his Link set, which when we get to that, I did change it quite a bit. Because again, there was one only Bio BROLY in the game, and the Link set was terrible, and I wanted this guy to be viable. So, I mean, you can look at it right now if you want to, but his links were not good. And Artificial Lifeforms, like, it is, in like recent times, it's become a lot better, because there is the Super 17 now, and the Gammas, you have Super Boo, the Int LR Cell, there's Tech LR Cell, which is getting his EZA soon on Global. A lot of those are like relatively strong enough options, but I don't have the Gammas. And when I run my Artificial Lifeform team, I have to run, like, it's really a power absorption team, and I have to run physical Buhan, and he's not good enough in this meta to be doing anything. But like this guy, this BROLY could carry like my terrible box of Artificial Lifeform characters, which is like, again, it's like LR Buhan, honestly, LR or Tech Cell, Dokkan Fest Cell, and LR Cell, and then probably like the Tech transforming Super Boo, and then Android 21. I mean, this guy could genuinely carry, having him in slot 1, having the cells in slot 2, and then rotating off the Boo and the Android 21. Like, he's strong enough to help with his support and his defensive capabilities. And if that wasn't enough, he heals 44% HP at the end of turn if HP is 22% or lower once only. I had to get the 6/6 in there somewhere to keep him like the devil theme of all the other characters that I made. And then lastly, he has a high chance to nullify Ki Blast super attacks and counter with tremendous power, and that is what this animation would look like. It's really cool. There were 3 instances of animations that I could have taken from. There was, well, only one of them would have been a counter. So the first one we've already seen was what his 12 key was. There's a scene where Goten and Trunks are attacking him, and then Goten has to go save Hercule or Mr. Satan, depending on whichever you prefer, and in that amount of time, there not being as many Ki Blasts, that's when Broly's able to attack Trunks. Then, a little bit later on, there's a scene where Krillin launches a Kienzan, or Constructo Disc, at Broly, and it like slices his neck in half, but it just kind of regenerates. I felt like that would have been a cool one. And then this is the other one, but I wanted it to also be a counter, because I haven't done a counter with the character yet, but I have done nullifications with the first Broly. So this is what that animation looks like. So now when it comes to his links, again, I foreshadowed to this just a moment ago, but his links used to be terrible. And I had to change a lot of them because not only do I want him to work with other Brolys, I also want him to work with other artificial lifeform characters. So we have Shattering the Limit, which is 2 key and 5% attack and defense. Revival, which is 2 key, attack and defense plus 5, and recovers 5% HP when HP is 50% or less. Like, if you just got rid of the 50% or less part, that is such a good link right there. It's literally, it's just Shattering the Limit plus the first part of Metamorphosis, which that would be so crazy. Imagine that with like Kid Buu. Kid Buu's also on this guy's team. That would be another 200% for Kid Buu. I don't have that Kid Buu, and I want him so bad. I have a freaking Rainbow, the Super Saiyan 3, the physical one that came out with him, and I'm pretty sure I also have his his SSR Rainbow as well, or I might be one copy away, I'm not sure. And I went pretty heavy on both banners back in, what was that, 2021, and I got a ton of Gokus, and no love for Majin or Kid Buu, still don't. Then his next link is Nightmare, which is 15% attack. Big bad bosses, because again, all of my Brolys will be having big bad bosses, because I think it is stupid as shit that not a single Broly other than Broly, Broly, Chilai, and Limo have it. And it's because Limo, we all know, because Chilai doesn't have it, the Brolys don't have it, but you add Limo to it, and all of a sudden you have big bad bosses. Which is the 25% attack and defense. Metamorphosis, which recovers 5% HP and 10% attack and defense. He has the Saiyan Lineage, which is 2 key and 5% attack and defense. And then Legendary Power, which is 15% attack when performing a super attack. So, those links, pretty good. There's really not going to be one perfect linking partner with him, though, and that's kind of the problem. But he will work relatively well with pretty much any of those characters that I mentioned, any artificial lifeform character, or any of the Brolys, because just having big bad bosses, the Saiyan Lineage, and big Legendary Power, you're gonna be giving this guy some defense and there some power, essentially. So now going down to his categories, I kind of fudged a couple of these, but I can in my brain I can justify all of them. So artificial life forms, resurrected warriors, movie bosses, corroded body and mind, giant form, transformation boost, inhuman deeds, and target Goku. Now you might be wondering, giant form? When does this guy go giant? I don't remember them fighting a giant. Well, you would be right. Excuse me, I had a hiccup there. This guy shows up in a giant form for literally like 4 seconds, and then he turns to stone and he dies. But I don't care. I want to have a giant form because I want this guy to be a perfect defensive unit. And if we've seen anything from Orange Piccolo or Int Jr., having these giant forms which last for multiple turns so you can waste your opponent's big effects, their big like gimmicks or whatever, is so incredibly useful. Because if you don't know, when you go into your giant form, the enemy will use up all their actions so that when you go out of the giant form, they can't do it. So like the Sen Shenron event over on JP right now. If you're in your giant form and he launches a ton of AoE attacks, or he launches a super attack against you, when the giant form ends and you're back to your normal turn with your normal set rotations or whatever, all those actions that the boss has used are going to be gone. So that's just adding to his incredible defensive capabilities, that he's just going to be able to absolutely waste all these big bosses' giant effects or whatever by just going to this giant form. It does have a pretty cool animation, again, and he doesn't fight, so I kind of had to make up some animations from BROLY earlier in the fight that we just have to pretend that he's giant. But if Dokkan Fest Bardock, his intro animation and all of his attacks or whatever happened literally 45 seconds apart from each other from when he gets inspired to kill Frieza to when he dies or whatever, I don't see why I can't make part of a unit's passive from literally 10 seconds of screen time where this giant BROLY comes up out of the sea. And you know what? I'll just stop saying anything and I'll just let y'all see it. So the name of the giant transformation would be From the Depths, which could be seen as him coming out of the ocean or him crawling his way back out of hell, because again, Broly's the devil, whatever. It can just be activated from the 4th turn of battle, no real restriction, because again, it's going to be, if you're looking at it right now, you probably see that it's not going to do a ton of damage, and that's intentional, because I don't want this guy to be a damage-dealing unit. Kind of similar to like my LR Shin. This guy could be launching out at full 24 key, not in the giant form, just like in this form. If at 24 key, if like he was launching literally a 1.2 million damage super attack, I wouldn't care. Like, because he's not going to take any damage and he's going to be carrying the rest of his team. I think that's totally fine if he's super weak offensively. But he turns giant for 2 turns guaranteed, which means he's guaranteed to waste all the enemy actions, because the enemy can't go more than 2 turns without super attacking. Sin can't go more than 2 turns without launching AoEs. I mean, I'm pretty sure Sin launches AoEs every turn, but you still get the idea. It would waste his action. But for those 2 turns, he gets 1 key per key sphere retained. He gets an extra attack plus 122, and he launches a guaranteed additional with a rare chance of becoming a super attack when facing 2 or more enemies. Why did I add that part into the passive? Because I just really wanted to add something that has a rare chance, like, you know what, like Devilman or whatever. I just thought that'd be funny. So for his 12 key, it's the Leviathan-sized lasso, which will greatly raise attack, temporarily cause destructive damage to the enemy. And this is what that would look like. I imagine, though, that part at the end where he's, like, crushing Kid Trunk's skull, instead of it being, like, him crushing his skull, it'd be, like, a giant BROLY, like, actually stepping on the unit, instead of that kind of be how the super attack would end. And then right here, what I made is 18 key for his giant form is kind of what the only people you really see in media when it comes to BROLY is just him doing the dual eraser cannon, which is a key blast, massively raise attack, and causes destructive damage to the enemy. I meant to put raise attack temporarily because it's a giant form, but this is what that looks like real quick. And then his links, when you're in giant form, your links don't matter because it's just you're linking with yourself. So he doesn't really have any links. So that is this BROLY, the greatest character that would ever exist. He's a support, slot 1 killer. He's a healer. He can get rid of super attacks, and even if it's later into the battle, he can eat Ki Blast with counter tremendous power. He's the greatest of all time. Now, he's also a Carnival unit, Carnival LR. So if you remember with this guy, I didn't give him a banner unit, I gave him an EZA. So I did the same thing for BROLY, and you probably heard me name drop this character earlier, but Super Baby 2 is a character I would be EZAing alongside with him. So this character name would be Rampaging Vengeance, Super Baby 2, Giant Ape. He'd be an EZA Int TUR, whose leader skill would be Artificial Lifeform category 3 key and 130 to stats, or Extreme Int Allies key plus 3 and 100% to stats. I did change what his leader skill is, because originally he has a nuking leader skill, which is like 33% attack per int orb obtained for extreme int types. But in certain events like the Red Zone Cell Max and the Sen Shinron event, which isn't on global, which will be on global though in like a month and a half, right? Because I'm recording this on the 8th, right? No, the 9th. Yesterday was the 8th. And I'll be posting this on Monday probably. So when y'all are hearing me say this, so it's in less than a month and a half. We'll be having the hardest event in the game. We'll be on global then. That's exciting. But you can't use nuking leaders in it. Like, you wouldn't be able to normally use this guy or the TUR Golden Frieza, for example. So by changing his leader skill, you would actually be able to run this guy in those events, which I think would be pretty crucial. Because I gave him a pretty neat little passive here. But his 12 key is just the Revenge Death Ball, which is a key blast. I added that it would just raise attack and defense for 1 turn, and then I kept the rest the same. Supreme damage to the enemy and lower enemy attack. Blut's Wave of Hatred over here is the passive skill. I gave him 2 key and 130% attack and defense at the start of turn. Guards all attacks and is super effective against all types for the first 3 turns from first appearance. So if you got this guy turn 1, slot 1, he would guard for turn 1, he would guard for turn 3, and that would be it. Or if you got him in slot 2, he would do it for turn 2, and turn 4, assuming you didn't rotate him off, and so on and so forth. High chance to guard from the 5th turn from first appearance, so after his guaranteed guard wears off, he just has a 50% chance coin flip each turn. Artificial life form categories, 1 key, and 20% attack and defense, plus an additional attack and defense plus 20% to allies who also belong to the giant form category. Now, if we scroll over again here, notice how I put self-excluded for this BROLY. I don't really know if this works like this, but I want this guy to also get his own... I want his passive to also affect him. So he's getting the 1 key and 130 at the start of turn. And then on top of that, because he's on artificial life form and on the giant form category, he's getting an additional 1 key and 40% attack and defense. And he's also giving that to all of his allies that are attacking on the same turn. So this is going to be like another unit you can throw onto the BROLY team. Because when we were looking at the leader skill, this guy was actually there, but he's not easy aid. I think he Dokkan Awakened in like 2017, 2018. And he's received no love since, and even since he's been banned in certain events. So I think giving him those stats and also making him a support, would be great. Because the last 2 sentences of this guy's passive, I kept it the exact same. This is all he was given. Plus an additional 100% attack when HP is 30% or above, and then turns into Giant Ape when conditions are met. So I added all those extra stats. I added the guard, and then the support, which I think was where this guy is really going to get his use from, as being a good support anchor unit. Now for his link skills, he has Thirst for Conquest, which is 15% attack and defense. Metamorphosis, which recovers 5% HP and then 10% the stats. Saiyan Roar, which I find interesting that this guy has, because that's a Super Saiyan 4 link. And this guy isn't a Super Saiyan 4. But I guess it's so he can work with other GT units, I guess. But it's a great link, 25% attack and 10% defense. That's not too shabby. Then he has the great link of GT, which is 2 key and 10% the stats. I don't know any other character that has Hatred of Saiyans, but 3 key and 10% attack, that's incredible. Like, imagine another unit you could do would be Final Form Frieza from the Namek Saga. Not full power Frieza, because we already have 2 full power Friezas that are LRs or whatever. We haven't gotten just a final form Frieza like before Goku goes Super Saiyan against him I don't think in a long time. The last one was the banner unit that was AGL that had an AoE super attack, I think. I think that was the very last one that we have that's from the Namek Saga. There's a ton of untapped animations you could still do with that Frieza, like the scene where he like freezes Goku in time. He's like punching him around in a triangle. Or when he like goes to drown Goku. There are a lot of things you can still do with that fight. And with that character before he has that big buff physique. And imagining like this guy with a link like that, especially if he was an LR and he got just 3 key if he linked up with another character, and making this link a more popular one, Hatred of Sands, like, or adding another baby just in general, but like who doesn't turn Great Ape, who could link with this? Because I don't think there's a character you can really link this guy with unless you want to use like some really crappy SSRs or SRs or whatever. I know though with like Amon and Raisin, the Turles ally link or whatever it's called, they gave them to the new Turles units, but you had 2 new good Turles units to use it with. So like Team Turles, I think is what it is the link. So you actually have a way to use it. So whenever we get Dokkan Fest Super Baby 2, which I'm hoping is super soon, Hatred of Sands is going to be a great link that I want to see on a lot more characters. Then he has Big Bad Bosses, which is 25% attack and defense, and then Fierce Battle, which is 20% attack. And this guy is on a ton of categories. Giant Form, Transformation Boost, Artificial Life Forms, Terrifying Conquerors, Target Goku, Final Trump Card Revenge, Inhuman Deeds, Giant 8 Power, Space Traveling Wars, Corroded Body and Mind, GT Bosses, and Battle of Fate. This guy's also on both of the other Broly's 200% that we made. He's on this guy's, and he's on this guy's. He's on because of Target Goku and Revenge, and then because of Inhuman Deeds and Artificial Life Form. So he's on 3 new 100% leader skills. He wouldn't really help the other 2 Brolys as much as he would Bio Broly. That's why he'd probably be like a slot 3 unit if you did use him on one of those other 2 teams. But he can hold his own for a long time, especially if you rotate him off. That guard he has for his first 3 turns would kind of last a little bit longer. And he also has a giant form. Now, his giant form, originally, he had no passive. It was just he would transform, and then he did destructive damage. So I gave him a tiny little passive. I actually made his passive better than Bio Broly's passive, which was very funny to me. But he has a chance to activate when HP is 30% or more. So I think that's just a 10% chance at any time in battle this guy can transform into this. Transform from 1 to 2 turns. He receives 2 ki per ki sphere obtained, and then he has a high chance to crit, and then he has he guaranteed launches an additional with a high chance to become a super attack. So that's per. So he has 3 attacks on a turn, so he's doing 6. So he can potentially do up to 6 super attacks in a turn, or even more if you give him additionals, I guess. Which I don't think you'd want to do with this character. You probably would want to go full dodge. And then his 12 key is just the Super Gallic Gun, which is a Ki Blast, which greatly raises attack temporarily, causes destructive damage to the enemy. But that does it for this part with the Bio Broly units. Would you guys summon for him? If this guy, again, if you had 1,000 stones when Worldwide comes, and you see this guy on a banner, would you summon for him purely just based off of his kit? What kind of units would you want to use with him? Do you like how I designed this character? Do you think I made him too busted? Is he too unbelievable? I would really love to get some feedback on these videos. Because I'm just, I say this at the end of all my streams. I'm a little guy just trying to make it big in the world. And having interaction so I know kind of how to focus my energy better would be greatly appreciated. If you have any tips that I could do to kind of improve, that would also be greatly appreciated. Anything you guys want to leave me in the comments below, that'd be awesome. Time to selfless plug, I guess, real quick. I'm the SweetBro27. I'm a variety Twitch streamer and an awe-inspiring YouTube creator. I have a TikTok, a Twitch, and a YouTube, the links of which can all be found in the description of this video. Share me with a friend if you have anybody who you think would enjoy. But yeah, in a few days, so I'm going to post this on Monday. Assuming, it was supposed to be posted today, but again, my files got corrupted last night, which was a pain. Assuming everything goes well and this video gets posted on Monday, hopefully I can have the full power Broly from the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie out in just a few more days after that. I mean, the series will be done, and then in like a month and a half when Worldwide actually gets announced, it'll be, I don't know, it'll be something. Maybe it might be a Broly. I mean, technically speaking, I have like with 4 Brolys, surely one of them will be a part of the celebration somehow. And then we can maybe compare and contrast the kit I made for that specific Broly to the actual Broly we got. That would be cool. Because I did that with my LR Shin with the Final Form Bulma we got, and how they were both extremely defensive-oriented units. But that will do it for this. So just, again, just wait a few more days and we'll have the full Power Broly video up and the series will be done. So look forward to that. But we're going to wrap up here, guys. So this has been the Sweet Bro 27, and I am signing off.